What if the healing that you have been asking for is already taking place? It's just that it doesn't look anything like you expected it to. I've been thinking a lot about this lately because I have been living through a situation in my personal life where I've spent months in resistance to what actually is the healing that I had asked for. So I'm going to share a personal story with you that has a greater message to it. And I want to thank you so much for being here and sharing space with me. My name is Christine from Kyanite Psychic Services, and I love to help sensitive souls build confidence and trust in their connection with spirit. You can find out more about me at kyanitepsychic.com. I've shared in past videos on this channel that I moved in 2025 from the United States to Canada. So it was a pretty big move for me. And when I moved onto the property that I live on today, one of my intentions was to help heal the land around me. And I find that this has been increasingly more a part of my personal practice. And I do also believe that all of us are placed wherever we are for many reasons, one of which is to be a healer of the land in our own unique way. So, in my own meditation space, I've been asking the energy of the land, the beings that inhabit the land I live on, how can I help facilitate healing? Show me. And I thought that it was by caretaking for the plants, the trees, the flowers that are on the land I live upon, to be the best gardener I could be, to learn a lot in the process. And okay, I wasn't wrong about that, but I definitely had a blind spot because the land was asking for healing and I was in resistance. So, about 3 months into our move, which was around the fall of 2025, it came to my partner and my attention that a good portion of our front yard was not actually our front yard. It was the city's land. And this is a predicament I would not wish on any homeowner. It was not fun. We learned that the boundary needed to be adjusted and whatever, fence and boundary need to be removed in the process. So my first instinct was to fight, to stand up for myself. I was angry, obviously. I felt that I was wronged. And yes, in the mundane sense, I definitely was. My partner and I were. And I felt that, okay, we need to try as hard as we can to keep this property intact. And after months of researching, taking steps to stand up for ourselves, it became clear that there was no way around adjusting this boundary, removing any boundaries really. And at a point pretty recently in meditation, I realized I needed to release resistance because it was causing me a lot of pain, right? So it's something that I worked on consistently, frankly, still working on it a bit. And gradually, I noticed in conversation, it came to my attention that these boundaries were previously created from a place of paranoia and wanting to cut off connection with the outside community. Meaning the previous owner, whether or not they were conscious of this, uh, wanted to keep all their energy in and everybody else out. And it wasn't from a healthy place, I'll say, right? And this lit up in my meditation space, but also when I talked with our neighbors and people from the community, heard over and over stories that validated this feeling, right? So as I record this video, our land is more open. The boundaries have been adjusted. And I realized that this was actually the healing the land had been asking for. It had been asking for openness, for spaciousness, for release, for room to breathe. I just had that blind spot and that resistance. I wanted the healing to be something totally different. Well, I'm still standing up for myself. I realized that I had to release a lot of resistance to what the healing was to be able to see it. And this mundane example from my life, it's not only about the mundane particulars. Sometimes we need to let go of our preconceived notions of what a healing is, what form it takes, how it's presenting in our lives. And whatever is happening around us in the physical is not only that, there is always an energetic or metaphysical parallel. And now that our land is more open, I feel personally, when I step outside my front door, more lightness, more hope, and more possibility as that land has received a healing. If you would have said that to me, like, you'll feel lighter, you'll feel hope and connection and possibility. If you would have told me that in the fall, I would have told you to get lost. In no uncertain terms, right? I would not have believed you because I was so deep in resistance. And I notice this often in my healing space and my practice as a trance healer. Sometimes we can bring a request, like a healing request or intention, into the space. And intentions, requests are not a bad thing by any means. They're great overall. But sometimes we can bring an intention in and we think we know exactly what energy needs to shift within or around us, right? And sometimes this happens both as a practitioner and as the healee. It's something to be aware of. If we have any rigid expectations of how a healing is wanting to show up, often I notice that the healing that's presenting itself in the moment is something else entirely. That when we're collaborating with spirit, it's something beyond what we would have expected when we stepped into the space. And spirit is asking us to consider how other aspects of ourself, our lives, our paths, our surroundings contribute to our current circumstances. And when we decide to let go and allow the healing to be whatever it is in the moment, we can create this space for lasting change, for hope, for lightness, for possibility, even miracles to take place within us and in our lives. And I do see the humor that, I realize this often in the healing space. It took me a while, just a minute, to realize it in my mundane, personal life. And it's always good to find the humor in that, right? Find the humor on our healing journey. So I hope that this story inspires you to look at where you might be in resistance to the healing that is presenting itself in the moment. I made that healing request often. I still make it in my meditation space. How can I be a healer of the land? And now I know, okay, I accept whatever that healing is and whatever part I play in being the healer of the land. So I want to thank you for being here today. Be blessed, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next video.